There is a place your mind keeps returning to. You know the one. You've tried to stay away from it. You've made decisions, set intentions, told yourself clearly that you weren't going there again, and then something happens. A song, a smell, a particular quality of light on a late afternoon, a brief pause in the day when you weren't holding anything specific in your attention. And without your permission, without announcement, your mind goes there, to the person, to the memory, to the scenario you've replayed too many times, to the version of events you've been trying to stop rehearsing, to whatever it is that lives in that particular corner of your inner landscape and refuses to stay quiet when you've stopped demanding that it be loud. Most people treat this as a failure of willpower, a weakness they should be able to overcome with enough discipline or time or distraction. What they are almost never told, and what psychology has established with considerable clarity, is that the mind keeps going there, not despite their effort, but sometimes because of it. And more importantly, not randomly, not cruelly, but for reasons that are specific, traceable, and worth understanding. What pulls the mind towards certain places against a person's conscious wishes is not a malfunction of the thinking system. It is the thinking system doing exactly what it was built to do. The brain is, at its most fundamental level, a problem-solving organ. It does not distinguish cleanly between problems that have external solutions and problems that are emotional in nature. An unresolved loss, an unfinished conversation, a decision that was never made or was made under pressure and never fully integrated. The brain treats these with the same returning attention it would give to any other open task. It keeps coming back to them not to punish you, but because, from its perspective, the task is still open. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik Effect, the documented tendency of the mind to retain and return to incomplete experiences with significantly greater persistence than it retains completed ones. The returning thought is almost never accidental. It is the mind's bookmark, placed in the middle of something that was never fully resolved, surfacing periodically to check whether anything has changed. It does not go away because you feel bad about it. It goes away when whatever it is pointing toward has been genuinely processed, genuinely integrated, genuinely finished, and most of the time, it hasn't been. Most of the time, we moved forward without finishing, without giving the thing the attention it required, without allowing the feeling to complete its arc. And so the mind keeps turning back, faithfully, to the place that still has work left in it. If this is landing somewhere real for you, take a moment to like the video. It helps more people find conversations like this one. And if understanding what your mind is actually doing when it keeps going somewhere you don't consciously want to go is something you want more of, subscribing makes that work possible. There are several distinct reasons the mind keeps returning to the same territory, and they are worth separating, because they point toward different things. The first is unfinished emotional processing. When something genuinely painful or significant happens, a loss, a betrayal, an ending, the mind does not process it in one pass. It processes it iteratively, returning to the experience multiple times, from multiple angles, until it can be integrated into the ongoing narrative of who the person is and what their life contains. This is not rumination in the clinical sense. It is grief doing its work, memory consolidation doing its work, the self reorganizing itself around something that changed the shape of things. If your mind keeps returning to a loss, it is often not because you are stuck. It is because the processing is simply not yet complete, and the mind, left uninterrupted, will continue attempting to complete it, surfacing the material, examining it, putting it away, surfacing it again until the work is done. The second reason is emotional avoidance. This is the opposite mechanism, and the consequences are opposite too. When something is painful enough that the person has been actively avoiding fully feeling it, distracting, staying busy, intellectualizing, moving on, before the feeling has run its course, the mind continues to attempt contact with the unprocessed material because it cannot integrate what has not been felt. What we resist, in the psychological sense, does indeed persist, not because of some mystical law, but because the processing that would allow integration requires exposure to the feeling, and exposure keeps being interrupted. The intrusive return of the avoided thing is the mind requesting, repeatedly, the feeling that would allow it to finally move on. The third reason is attachment specifically, the neurological reality of how attachment works in the brain. The people we have loved, or feared, or been significantly hurt by, leave literal neural traces. Their voice patterns, their presence, their emotional weight, these are encoded in the brain's associative networks in ways that activate automatically in response to cues. You don't choose to think of someone when a particular song plays. The neural association fires before conscious thought arrives. This is not a weakness. It is the brain doing exactly what it was built to do with the people who mattered enough to be encoded deeply. The question is not why does my mind go there? The question is what does the persistence of that neural trace tell me about what this person or experience meant? And what remains unresolved in its wake? The fourth reason is salience. The brain's tendency to allocate attention preferentially toward what it has marked as important, threatening, or unresolved. Once the mind has marked something as significant, it monitors for it. It attunes to cues. It generates thoughts about it in the spaces where other things might otherwise appear. And the mind marks something as significant, not through conscious decision, but through the emotional intensity of the original experience. The more charged the experience, the more the brain's attention allocation system continues to return to it. The mind keeps going there because it is where the intensity lives. And intensity, to the brain, signals, this matters. This is unfinished. This requires processing. The fifth reason, and the most counterintuitive, is that attempts to not think about something reliably produce more thinking about it. Daniel Wegner's white bear experiments demonstrated this with elegant simplicity. People instructed to suppress a specific thought produced more of that thought than people given no instruction. The suppression process requires monitoring for the prohibited thought in order to avoid it, and monitoring generates the very thing it is trying to intercept. The mind that is fighting to stay away from somewhere is, in the act of fighting, continuously oriented toward that place. Here is the paradox that contains all five of these reasons. The mind does not keep returning to the places that have been fully healed, fully processed, fully integrated. It keeps returning to the places that haven't been. And what those returns are asking for is not suppression, not distraction, not the force of will directed against the direction the mind keeps trying to go. What they are asking for is something closer to permission. Permission to feel the thing, finish the thing, name the thing, grieve the thing, integrate the thing, so that the part of the brain doing the returning can finally receive the signal it's been waiting for. This is complete. This can be laid down. You can stop carrying it now. The mind that keeps going there is not a problem to be managed. It is an intelligence doing its work. And the most useful thing you can do, the one that the research consistently points toward, is to stop trying to prevent the journey and start getting curious about the destination. To ask, when the mind goes there again, not why won't this stop, but what is here that still needs finishing, because something is there, and the mind, faithful and persistent and entirely on your side, has been trying to help you find it. What place does your mind keep returning to that you've been treating as a problem when it might have been an invitation all along? Something in this video landed because it was already true about you. Truth has a weight that coincidence doesn't. Hit the like and subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.